music. It's a very important, subject, honestly. It's a very important, life thing to have in your life, A world without music would be awful. And there's good music and there's bad music. There's good opinions on music and bad opinions on music. And sometimes a debate will start on who has a good opinion and who has a bad opinion. You know what I mean? But, objectively, music is subjective. So, there's neither an objectively bad band nor an objectively good band. Well, honestly, it's rare to find something that's objectively bad. Like the Shags, yeah, objectively, they're not talented, Or let's take someone like Dream Theater. Yeah, they are objectively talented, But just like the Shags, there's people that listen to the Shags, There's still people that probably like the Shags. I never met them, but they probably like the Shags. Just like there's people that hate Dream Theater, Because they're really good. They probably like the Shags because they're really bad, So there's no objective opinion. However, there are objectively wrong arguments to use when it comes to debating music. And today, we're going to go over them, Well, this is kind of my objective, bad arguments, So, without further ado, let's just go ahead and go over these objectively bad, arguments when it comes to music. So, and if you make any of these arguments, stop it, please. You're not going to win the music debate. You're just making yourself look like an ass. So, long intro aside, let's go ahead and get into it. First topic on the chopping block, or first, statement on the chopping block, let people like things. Okay. Yeah. I agree with you there. Let people like things. However, let people hate things. Right? Isn't that how that works? Should it work that way? It can't work one way. You can't let somebody just like something and it not be hated, From all of the times I've seen the let people like things argument, there probably have been 1%, 0.00 1 or 0.005% of times or whatever where somebody was saying, oh, you can't like this band, you're objectively not allowed to like this band, and you're a fucking piece of shit for liking that band. Then you could say, let me enjoy it, man, you know what I mean? But nobody is telling you that you can't enjoy TX2. I get in arguments with people about TX2. I fucking despise TX2, Luckily, I haven't seen the let people like things argument, but I don't put it past people to use that argument. But if you use the let people like things argument, it's again, let people hate things. How about that? Let me hate TX2. I'll let you like TX2. You can go ahead and fucking like them all you want. That doesn't mean I can't be vocal about my hatred for them. Can you only be vocal about your love for them? I can't be vocal about my hatred for them? Why? You know what I mean? Why can't I be vocal about my hatred for a certain band? I fucking despise Radiohead. Let people like Radiohead. I fucking do. I let people like Radiohead. You're allowed to like Radiohead, alright? I'm not the fucking grandmaster. I'm not fucking, God. I'm not the president. I'm not fucking Jesus Christ. I'm me. You're you. Like whatever the fuck you want, man. I don't care. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. So, I will let people like things. Thank you for the statement, for the pointless statement that was supposed to be your argument against my take. So it's thank you. Next is my favorite band is bigger than your favorite band. Oh boy, do I love this argument. Let's say, I hate Radiohead, okay? Or better example, I hate Falling in Reverse. They're my least favorite band. Ronnie Radke's bigger than you, bro. Who's your favorite band? Electric Wizard. I don't even know who the fuck that is. Who is that? Who is that? Who is Electric Wizard? That's not a fucking argument. That's just you being uncultured. That's just you being an uncultured piece of shit. That's more of an attack on yourself. That's more projection than it is a fucking argument. Like, it just makes you a clown. Like, way to let me know you have shitty taste in music, my guy. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I see when Ronnie Radke is always in beef with people. His dick-sucking, hive mind, cultist fan base is like, I don't even know who this guy is, bro. I don't even know who they are. To be fair, I don't know who they are either. But that's because I don't give a fuck about Ronnie Radke, nor who he's in beef with, because I don't give a fuck about fucking metalcore. I don't give a fuck about it, you know? So I'm like, okay. Like, that's just such a weak and pathetic argument of, my favorite band's bigger than your favorite band. That's just my dad can beat up your dad. That's literally what that is. That's like kids arguing, oh yeah, oh my dad can beat up your dad. Like, cool story, buddy. And that doesn't mean you got good taste. Just like that don't mean like, or like the say that shit in real life argument. Like, okay, doesn't mean you're less of a bitch. That doesn't mean you're any less of a bitch. You know, you beat my ass, but you're still a bitch. You know, just like, okay, Falling in Reverse is bigger than, you know, Electric Wizard. Doesn't mean Falling in Reverse doesn't fucking suck. You know, doesn't mean Ronnie Radke isn't a fucking insufferable asshole. You know? So, I just always viewed that my favorite band's bigger than your favorite band. Ronnie Radke makes more money than you. Radiohead is bigger than your favorite band. Like, I always view that argument as so weak and pathetic. Like, if you're gonna, like, say something, just you can either just ignore me or just not say that or come up with a better argument. You know? Like, fuck, dude. But I don't know. Next argument is calling somebody an elitist. I would put calling somebody a poser on here, but there are some people that are just posers, you know? But if you're gonna sit there and call somebody an elitist, you know, like, be like, oh, well, you're shitting on TX2 because you're a stupid elitist, like, or, oh, you're just shitting on Falling Over because you're a stupid metal elitist loser piece of shit. You just sound like Finn McKenzie. You know what I mean? Like, you just sound like somebody that really is insecure about their opinion on music and is not confident about their opinion on music at all. You know? Like, if you're wrong about something, you know, chest up, man. You know, I mean, well, not if you're wrong about something, but if you know, if you're confident in your music taste, chest up. Say that with your chest out, man. You know? Like, say, yeah, I fucking like corn. What are you gonna do about it? You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to call somebody an elitist. You don't have to just sort of say, elitist. You're the reason metal is dead. You're the reason metal isn't as good as it is. You're the reason metal isn't in the mainstream. Guess what, bitch? Metal isn't supposed to be in the mainstream. Yeah, I said it. Metal ain't supposed to be in the mainstream. I mean, obviously there's big bands that are in the mainstream. Like Iron Maiden, you know, Ozzy Osbourne, Black Sabbath, Slayer, you know, I mean, Megadeth, Metallica, Pantera, Ronnie James Dio, you know, fucking, even Cannibal Corpse. I mean, even Gwar is kind of mainstream. I mean, well, not really. No, they're on the radio. I wouldn't, or not the radio. They were on TV and stuff. I wouldn't call them mainstream, but I wouldn't call them non-mainstream. I don't know what I'd call them. But like, Rob Zombie, I could go on and on and on about mainstream metal bands, But most of the time, metal is supposed to be different. Metal isn't supposed to be for everybody, So that being said, metal really isn't supposed to be mainstream. Again, you got those, bands that made it into the mainstream, but then you got other bands like Venom, Acid Bath, Electric Wizard, I Hate God, I hate other bands like, Sludge Plow, Buzz Oven, Leech Milk, who else? Take Disastrous Murmur, even Deicide, even so these bands aren't like mainstream or kind of underground. Well, Deicide isn't really underground, but they kind of are, they kind of aren't. They're not playing, well, they are playing big metal festivals, but they're not, they're still playing, they're not playing at big arenas. They're not playing at big arenas, they're underground. That's kind of how I view it, at least. But metal really isn't supposed to be mainstream, or neither is punk, neither is goth, I don't know about emo, but scene core, scene music or whatever, that shit's not supposed to be mainstream. Most alt music isn't really supposed to be mainstream now, is it? You know what I mean? It's alternative for a reason. It's not for everybody, It's for a certain set of people, So, it's kind of how I view it. So, calling somebody a elitist, other thing is, elitism is not a thing. Or gatekeeping isn't really a thing gatekeeping's a thing, but an elitist isn't a thing. Here's my favorite quote from Heavy Metal Philosophy. It's, if you let somebody's opinion drive you away from metal, then you never liked it in the first place. I've had plenty of people call me posers for not liking what they like. I've had, I've had those people in my lives, call me poser. There's probably still going to be a certain set of people that call me a poser, I've called people posers, you know what I mean? Do they stop liking metal? Fuck no. Do I stop liking metal because somebody called me a poser? Fuck no. You should never let somebody tell you that you're not allowed to like metal. It's like let people like things, you should never allow somebody to make you not like something because of their opinions. You know what I mean? That's just incredibly weak-minded. And you're not a true metal fan if you let somebody, or you're not a true alternative fan. You're not a true fan of anything if you let somebody drive you away from it because of their opinion. That's all. This last argument is resorting to personal issues to fuel your argument. You know what I mean? Like, if you resort to personal issues like, suicide or, self-harm or, SA or, abuse, you're like, oh, well, my dad abused me when he listened to this band, so that's why you shouldn't like this band, it's like, I feel like that's weak, or to say, you can't criticize me for liking, supporting this artist because I almost killed myself. Like, okay, I can still criticize your music taste, can I not? Like, I'm not criticizing you. If I'm criticizing you, then yeah, you'd have an argument, but criticizing you for killing yourself, then yeah, you'd have an argument. Or criticizing you for being abused, then yeah, you'd have an argument. But I feel like you don't really have an argument. I don't know. I don't know if this is just me, but I feel like that's incredibly weak. To mention a personal issue if a personal issue is not mentioned. Am I wrong for that? Am I wrong for thinking that's incredibly weak and incredibly pathetic and incredibly low of someone to do? Like, am I the only one that thinks that way? Like, hello? Like, Nirvana has personal songs that I like, you know, because of the message, and I relate to it, like the Kurt Cobain's demo of Sappy, or, you know, I Hate Myself and I Want to Die. I really like those songs, you know what I mean? What else? I don't know, you know what I mean? He has messages I relate to, and I really do relate to Kurt Cobain, or Tool, you know, I mean, there's a lot of messages that Tool has that I relate to, you know, like, interpretations at least. There's no really specific message. Also, I'm messing with something on my chair that's making it squeak, so it's not a mouse, just letting you know that. But, you know, like, I'm not gonna resort to, oh, well, you can't, you know, oh, well, you can't criticize me for liking Tool. You can't criticize me for liking Tool because I relate to Maynard James Keenan's issues on relationships, and Tool saved me from, you know, committing suicide. So you can't, which is something, you know, I didn't do, but I'm not gonna be like, oh, so it's bad that you'd criticize me for liking this band because they saved me from, you know, harming myself. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like that's incredibly low and pathetic, and I feel like people that do that should do better than that, and I feel like those people are really horrible people, you know, for that. Just because, what do you mean you're guilt-tripping somebody because they shit on an artist, because they shit on your opinion, you know what I mean? Like, if they don't know your story, then, and like, internet strangers, don't tell internet strangers your personal stories. I feel like this is just common knowledge. I don't know. Am I wrong for this? Am I an asshole for this? Or do you guys agree? You know, let me know in the comments, honestly. I mean, if you watched the last video, you know I love when you guys engage. But let me know in the comments, man. Like, did I just say something that needed to be said, or what? You know, like, am I the only one that thinks this way, or am I the only one that, you know, has this opinion, or do you also have that opinion? Do you also agree? So, yeah. That's gonna do it for this video. I've had, you know, I am very opinionated, as you can tell, but, these, I feel like, are just kind of objective. I mean, you shouldn't be an insufferable douche, you know, on the internet. Though you are going to get a lot of those, but don't be one yourself. I feel like all these arguments that I mentioned are just pathetic, you know, like, they're pathetic and weak, and they are pointless, you know, like, they serve no purpose other than to just make you look like somebody, just make you look like somebody going into a game without a game plan. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like an valid argument you should have is like, oh, well, you know what? I like this band. I think this band makes good music. You know, this band's really personal to me. You know, if you want to mention that they saved you from committing, you know, suicide, or, you know, they saved you, you know, you relate to their messages, you know, like, if you want to mention that, that's fine, but don't guilt trip somebody. You know, that's kind of the point of the last message. Just don't guilt trip people for having opinions and criticizing your opinions, unless they already know and they're still criticizing you for liking that, you know, like, I'm not gonna criticize somebody for liking Korn, you know, if I know that they, you know, were essayed, and that, you know, Jonathan Davis's lyrics mean a lot to them because of that. I'm not going to criticize someone for that, because it's like, you know what? You like what you like, you know? Until you criticize me, I guess, I'll probably criticize your taste. I don't know. I still probably wouldn't do that, you know. But I'd be like, okay, well, you like what you like, I guess. You know, and you don't like what you don't like at the end of the day. So, that's gonna do it for this video. If you want to, you know, engage, please engage, I beg you. But if you guys agree with the video, let me know. If you guys disagree with the video, also let me know, you know? Let me know if I missed any arguments. Let me know if I missed any arguments, you know? And I'll engage. I might agree with them, I might disagree with them. Who knows? You know, I don't care. You know? Well, I do care, but just be cool, people, you know? And remember, don't be a dick. Peace.